In case this needs to be said, I don't hate women, and I don't hate women who have had abortions, and no pro-lifer does. When we say that we are against abortion, we're constantly bombarded with rhetoric of people saying that you hate women, you're anti-woman, you can't restrict a woman's choice, otherwise you don't support women. The reason we can be anti-abortion and pro-woman is because abortion is inherently anti-woman. There's nothing pro-woman about abortion. Abortion hurts women. And I think one of the most devastating effects of the abortion industry and how our culture frames abortion is women who do get abortions and do experience trauma and regret. They have to shut up. They're not allowed to say a thing because otherwise it makes abortion look bad. So now we have all of these women that feel completely isolated, completely alone, and they are scared to share their experience because they don't want to give abortion a bad name. Well, guess what? Abortion already has a bad name. We don't need to protect abortion. We need to protect women. And unfortunately, this video that I wanted to show you highlights that. This woman is pro-abortion, and several times she mentions how anti-conservative she is because she doesn't want to give pro-lifers an inch. She doesn't want abortion to sound like a bad thing, and yet she feels compelled to share her experience. This is the video.
I just had an abortion. Oh my god, that's so controversial and it's such a private event. Why would you talk about it? Fuck you. I didn't know what to expect because nobody told me.
It's true. Nobody prepares women for what abortions are going to be like. You go into a Planned Parenthood, do you think that they're going to explain to you exactly what it is? No, they lie to you because they have to. Because if they were to sit women down and say, so your child is 10 weeks today. Here is the stage of development. Here's what your baby is doing. Here's where it is, how big it is, where you are in your pregnancy, and here's what this abortion is going to do. I think less women would get abortions. They know they have to use smoke and mirrors. They know that they have to cover it up, rephrase it, use fluffy rhetoric to convince women into getting abortions. They don't care if women have informed consent. They care if women give them the $600 for their abortion.
I had a vague understanding of the symptoms, of course, but the filthy fucking details? So I'm here to inform you, and any conservatives who are watching who literally have no idea how this shit works.
We do know how it works, and that's the point. And that's why the abortion industry constantly has to try to get us to shut up because they don't want us talking about the real effects of abortion. And it's so interesting that she's saying, you know what, conservatives, shut up. Well, conservatives are the ones who are going to actually tell you what abortion is. Conservatives are the ones that are most likely going to prepare you for what actually happens, but they don't want to hear it. They want you to be quiet. When you go out there with pictures of aborted babies, what do you hear? Oh, you don't need to be graphic. Oh, no one needs to see that. That's disgusting. We just want women to go in there blindly and have no idea what they're doing. That's what the abortion industry wants. The reason you're unprepared, the reason this girl had absolutely no idea what was going to happen is because that's how the abortion industry wants it to be.
It is one of the most traumatizing things I have ever experienced. I will talk about the emotional repercussions, but first I'm going to talk about the physical. Because anybody who says that people are getting abortions as birth control is either misinformed or a fucking monster. Within 10 minutes of taking the medication, I was on the toilet, shitting my guts out, and vomiting at the same time. I told you, filthy details. I was given nausea medication, but this wasn't nausea. This was due to intense pain from my cervix being forced open that was so bad my body did not know how to react.
And this is the experience for a lot of women. The nurses inside of these abortion clinics say, you're going to experience some cramping, some bleeding, but just take some ibuprofen, sit on the toilet, and you'll be fine. But the problem is these women don't know at what point is it too much. They're not prepared. You know, they're told maybe it's period cramps. Well, that's subjective of what that feels like and how intense the pain should be. So you have women, especially in early pregnancy abortions where they're taking the abortion pill and going home, they're having their abortions by themselves on their bathroom floors. I've talked to women who have had abortions and they have the same experience saying it was the most terrifying, the most painful thing I have ever been through. I laid there thinking that I was going to die. I had to spend every single moment doing all that I can just not to pass out. No woman deserves that. No woman deserves to be handed a brown paper bag with a pill they have no idea what it does, go to their house, and give birth to their dead baby over a toilet. No woman deserves that.
This stage lasted for 4 hours, and at about the 4-hour mark, I feel the lining of my uterus slough off. And for the next 4 hours, I would go through a cycle of intense, unbearable pain, a piece of tissue about the size of a lime coming out of my body, and then about 15 minutes where I was no longer in pain. Rinse and repeat.
I just don't understand. I mean, my heart breaks for this girl and every woman that has ever experienced abortion, anyone who has ever had an experience like this. But I don't understand how you can experience that. Understand and see how awful and horrific abortion is, and then still say, it's a good thing. I'm glad I did. I think that women all across the country should do this. We need to be protecting women from this. Many women, they don't want abortion. You know, they choose it because maybe they don't feel prepared. Maybe they're not financially able. All of those things can be addressed. We can support mothers to where they don't have to choose between their plans for the future, their desire to get an education, and the life of their child. Women have the ability to do both. But when we have a society that demonizes motherhood the way that it does, no wonder women feel like they have to choose abortion. But they don't. And that's what pro-lifers are wanting to do. We're saying your life matters so much that we don't want you to ever go through this. Being pro-life is not just pro-birth or pro-fetus. It's saying abortion hurts women and women deserve better. And these experiences are proof of that.
I don't remember a lot of that day because I spent most of it trying not to pass out. And to add insult to literal injury, I had to travel out of state for this. We knew we caught it early, but we didn't know how far along, and we live in Texas, which means there's a 6-week ban. Or at least, for now, it's a 6-week ban. But even though we caught it really, really early, we decided to just be safe and travel. And I measured in, when I got there, at exactly 6 weeks and 1 day. I tested out of pure paranoia because I was 2 days late. 2. If you think 6 weeks is a reasonable amount of time, off you fuck, thank you, goodbye.
That was part 1. And that was explaining the physical trauma of abortion. And the next video that I want to show you is her part 2, where she talks about the emotional trauma of abortion. And in the beginning of this video, she says that she does want to have children, which is why this was especially difficult for her. She was on birth control. It failed, and that's why she needed the abortion. But she said in order to emotionally detach from what was going on, she had to create a caricature of her preborn child so that she didn't feel sad or traumatized about the fact that she was getting an abortion. So her method was to picture her unborn baby as a little Republican man named Dave with a 5 o'clock shadow. That's what she pictured, so that she wouldn't want it, essentially. She had to create a caricature of what she absolutely hated so that she felt okay about ending the life of the child that was in her. And this is the video of her talking about why that emotionally was extremely difficult for her.
Because I want kids, I had to mentally and emotionally separate myself from this pregnancy.
AKA, I had to lie to myself about what was going on so that I didn't feel hurt.
The coping mechanism that I chose was, of course, humor. So we just mentally decided that it would have popped out a full-grown Republican man with 5 o'clock shadow named Dave.
So basically she had to create a caricature of the thing that she absolutely hated more than anything in this world and assign that to her child so that she didn't feel sad about ending the life of her baby. That's what she's saying.
And up until very recently, I would have highly, highly recommended this coping mechanism. But I was not prepared a couple days after I thought everything was over to meet Dave. Embryos burrow themselves into your uterine lining, so even though all of mine had sloughed off in the recent few days, it took a while for the embryo to actually come out. And even though logically I know it's a clump of cells, it never felt anything. Every emotional defense I had crumbled in 1 second.
This makes me so sad. I essentially what she's saying is she had to continually and repeatedly lie to herself because otherwise she had to accept that a child was just killed. And so why she created a fake caricature. It's why she had to keep telling herself that she knows it's a clump of cells. But the reason it was difficult is because deep down she knows that it wasn't. And the fact that we have women that are forcing themselves to lie to themselves in order to even cope is devastating. But it opens an important conversation of, the reality of this movement. When we have these women who are so passionately pro-abortion, especially those who are post-abortive, you have to ask why. Why are they so adamant about the fact that it's not a life? Why are they so adamant about the fact that it is a clump of cells that is not a human being? Because otherwise they have to acknowledge that they paid somebody to end the life of their child. They have to be pro-choice. They have to believe that it's a clump of cells because otherwise they have to mourn the loss of their child. And I think videos like this are a really important reminder of the importance of the work that we do, but also the compassion that we have to approach it with. These women are hurt. They are traumatized, and they are clinging to anything that will help them cope. What they really need is true healing. And the abortion industry is never going to offer that. The abortion industry is completely fine with allowing women to be in denial, to lie to themselves so that they can cope with their abortion. They don't need to do that. What they need is healing. What this woman needs is healing. And they're not going to get that by lying to themselves. They're not.
And that is the moment that I decided to talk about this publicly. I knew I would be okay to step into the light with a target painted on my back for conservatives. Because nothing and no one can make me hate myself more than I did in that moment. So I may as well just make someone else feel less alone.
Honestly, I'm thankful for this girl's bravery to speak up and be candid and honest about what abortion is like, because you're not going to hear that from Planned Parenthood. You're not going to hear it from the radical pro-abortion activists that scream and yell and literally dance and sing about how amazing abortion is, how wonderful it is. And so I'm thankful that somebody is being honest, even in the midst of clearly going through trauma. This woman is hurt, and my heart breaks for her. And what's even more sad is you read through the comments, and there are hundreds of people that relate to her that are saying, thank you for sharing, because this is exactly how I felt. This is extremely similar to what my experience was like. That's heartbreaking that we have so many women that feel so alone but can't speak up because they're worried about giving abortion a bad name. But I also saw a few comments like this one saying, I'm pro-choice, but did not know this is what happens. Thank you for educating me. How can you be pro something you know nothing about? If you don't even know what an abortion procedure is like, what it does, the effects of it, what it does to women, how can you say that you're pro-choice? This is what you're advocating for, this experience, being more than willing to inflict this on women and leave them crying and bleeding on their bathroom floors completely alone. That's what being pro-abortion is. And that is why I am more than happy to be anti-abortion, because there is nothing pro-woman about abortion. I was also reading a comment that particularly made me furious, because we have these young women that go into the abortion facilities thinking these people who work here care about me. They're here to help me. They want to support my rights. They want to get me back on track. These people are saving me from my situation. This woman said, during my procedure, my doctor made fun of me. He said I was only crying/screaming because I was in pain, not because I felt bad for what I had done to my baby. This comment sounds like it was coming from somebody who did regret their abortion. I don't meet very many people who are pro-abortion that refer to their preborn child as a baby. And I can't imagine laying on a hospital bed, screaming and crying, and having a doctor make fun of me, completely disregard what is happening, lie to me, and try to convince me that I don't really know why I'm crying and screaming, just to get me to shut up long enough to where they can get me out of their office. Women deserve better than that. Are you kidding me? These abortionists, they don't care about women. They don't. They care about the money they make from abortion, and that's the reality. And so when we have these young girls that are going into these facilities thinking, these people care about me, they're here to help me, they're not. And in fact, the media is so manipulative and lies so much that you know who they paint to be the evil ones? The pro-lifers standing on the sidewalk who are there saying, you have other options. Let me tell you about what abortion is. You don't have to do this. I want to help you and I want to support you and I want to see you succeed. Those are the ones that love these women, not the ones that they hate them. They're not standing on the sidewalk because they hate women. They're standing on the sidewalk because they love them so much they don't want to see anyone have to go through this. No woman deserves this. And if you've had an abortion, if you've been hurt by abortion, you need to know that you do not have to suffer in silence. You are not alone, and the pro-life movement loves you and wants nothing more than to see you thrive. I'm going to put a list of resources in the description, and I hope that you reach out. You deserve healing. And to the pro-life community, speak up. We know what abortion does. We know the effects of abortion. And so we have to be bold and unapologetic in the way that we approach this topic. We are not just saving children from dying in the womb. We are protecting women from ever having to go through an abortion. There is nothing pro-woman about abortion, and so we need to let go of the false narrative that is constantly portrayed on us, that we are anti-woman, that we hate women, that we want to see women crash and burn, whatever it is, ignore it, because you know the truth. You know what happens in an abortion, and you know the devastating effects it has not only on a woman, not only in families, but as a country. We deserve better. Women deserve better. And the only way we will see changes is every single person uses their voice to speak up, to change hearts and minds, to have these conversations both in our homes, in our communities, on social media, anywhere that you can. Share the truth about abortion, because we need to make sure that women are not standing alone, especially right now in a post-Roe America. Women are scared, they are vulnerable, and the abortion industry is preying on them harder than ever. And so you need to be the one who stands up, who stands in between the abortion industry and these women who need help, to walk alongside them and make sure they know they are worthy, they are capable, they have resources, and they have people who will walk alongside them. Women deserve better, and the pro-life movement is the only side that will share the truth about abortion.